comes from beyond time, from beyond the outer limits of your imagination, and he's ready to blow your mind.
You know, I don't think we've ever covered urban legends here on Traumathon, which is crazy to think about, seeing as how they're so rooted into most of our childhood memories. I guess I've been so busy talking about creepypastas that I never once bothered to actually touch real urban legends, not from the internet. Well, this is an urban legend that I think is worth looking over, as it scared a ton of kids back then and could potentially prove to be fatal for those who are too curious. Today we're looking at the Bunny Man. The Bunny Man legend, as cute as it sounds, is no laughing matter, as it is connected to several crimes and sightings and potential murders as well. I think it's best I advise you right now that the legend of the Bunny Man isn't just rooted in folklore or myth, but is really connected to some nefarious stuff that to this day remains unsolved or dangerous, most of which isn't actually connected to the Bunny Man, but still something to be aware of. I bring this up because I'll be going over real world places that you can technically visit today, but I highly advise that you don't, as there could be some people that take the legend a little too seriously, if you know what I mean. At any rate, who is the Bunny Man and where did this legend come from? Well, it all started somewhere in Northern Virginia, near the American capital, Washington, D.C. It's here a bridge known as the Bunny Man Bridge has been the site of infamy and dread, as it is connected to the haunting tales of the Bunny Man, a legend that spans across dozens of years throughout American history. God, where to begin? I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that there are over 100 different stories of the Bunny Man that exists in America, not just the Bunny Man Bridge. So let's just go over one of the fables, the most famous one. One night, a local insane asylum was transporting some of their patients across Fairfax County when suddenly they were met with an accident that ended up killing most of the passengers as well as the driver. Only one man made it out of the car, though the staff had presumed that all were killed that night. A few days later, on Halloween night, a couple were crossing by that bridge. The bridge known now as the Bunny Man Bridge, but back then had no name. When they saw him, a man donning rabbit ears glared at them from across the dark bridge. They thought it amusing at first, but then saw that he had a hatchet in one hand and blood on his clothes. He wore fur pelts from several dead rabbits, and before they knew it, he gave chase to them and caught them just before they could escape. The couple was dismembered and hacked to bits, thrown into a shallow grave near the tunnel. To this day, no one knows just who the Bunny Man was. Okay, so I made this one up, but most legends of the Bunny Man pretty much sound exactly like this, and to be honest, I just took bits and pieces from all the stories that I have read and made it into one big spaghetti pile of this. Some versions of the story involve half-eaten rabbits, some others involving the Bunny Man getting run over by the train above the bridge but resurrecting himself and laughing, where you can hear the laugh at the Bunny Man Bridge to this day. It's crazy, but lots of fun to speculate, though not true at all. What's not so terribly fun is the truth behind the matter. See, the Bunny Man stuff is actually all rooted in true crimes and eyewitness reports of a man dressed in a bunny suit, so what's the truth? Well, all of these legends do happen in Virginia, and despite the bridge being located in Clifton, real sightings began in 1970 in Burke, Virginia, where a couple, a Navy cadet named Bennett and his fiancée, after watching a football game, were parked near the cadet's uncle's house, which was just across the street. Just as they were about to leave the car, they see something move behind the car, and then they hear the back window crash and a man yell, "You're trespassing, I got your plates," as they book it out of there. When they arrived at the police station to report what had happened, fucking snitches, they discovered that the back window was broken into by a hatchet, and said hatchet was just lying there on the car floor. It's a disturbing little tale with a sweet little prop. Yes, the real Bunny Man's hatchet was preserved for all to see. Sweet. But why the Bunny Man? Why is he known that? If it was just some crazy old guy being grumpy at a bunch of young kids trespassing, where's the Bunny Man part come from? Well, according to Bennett, he had seen the man wearing bunny ears for some odd reason, though his fiancée believes otherwise, believing that the man was actually wearing a capirote. Now, I know what you're thinking, but they're very common among Spanish Catholics and are often seen being worn by many people of the cloth, especially during Holy Week. But we're not in Spain, are we? Yeah, this story took place down south in Virginia, so it's much more likely that they weren't actually attacked by a Catholic Spaniard, but by a redneck racist. But it's still up in the air just who the assailant was and what the guy was wearing that night. Though it can't be denied that this sparked a multitude of Bunny Man sightings ever since. From 1970 to 1973, over 50 Bunny Man sightings suddenly appeared all over the country, possibly in part with the rise of the Bunny Man incidents that occurred. I mean, in just a month of this happening, 4 other incidents of the Bunny Men occurred near DC and Virginia. It doesn't help that directly after this incident, another incident involving a man with a bunny hood attacked a security guard near a derelict building with an axe and threatened his life by saying, "You're trespassing. Come any closer and I'll chop your head off." So then it became this national craze, sort of like how a few years back when we had that whole clown epidemic across America where people were just seeing clowns everywhere. You remember that? Well, it's sort of like this, but with bunny men everywhere, which I think is probably worse. But Goose, I hear you saying, what the fuck does this have to do with the Bunny Man Bridge? It's not even a bridge, it's a tunnel. Why is it even called that? Number 1, I don't know. Number 2, I don't know, seriously. The best I could assume is the legend spread throughout all across America after these sightings that people then started making up shit about Fairfax County in general, which is around the place where the original story took place. Remember that insane asylum story I just spouted? Well, that's a real popular story and one that gets retold time and time again. And it just so happens to be linked to the Bunny Man with the bridge, despite it not actually being a bridge and despite nothing ever happening there at all. So by complete circumstance did this thing become the Bunny Man's origin story, despite it never being a place where the Bunny Man was ever actually seen. Oh, but what about the murders? Why is the Bunny Man portrayed as a murderer in all the legends? Well, to be frank, it's just to spice up the legend. Honestly, there are several unsettling and horrific murders that have happened in Fairfax County or nearby. Many, in fact, that include chopping up bodies, using hatchets or axes as murder weapons, killing couples, killing wives, killing children even, etc, etc. All of these really did happen, but as the Bunny Man legend grew, so too did his motives, and I guess because Fairfax County is also the place people go to dismember their family members, the Bunny Man also became associated with these grisly crimes, despite there never really being a case of anyone dying from a man in a bunny suit. I mean, let's face it, if this whole legend was based off of just an old man getting mad at young kids, it really probably wasn't that scary to begin with, so people just spiced it up, looked up some local murders, and somehow associated it with the Bunny Man. It's kinda cringe, but that's just how legends grow. Still, that doesn't stop people from visiting the Bunny Man Bridge every Halloween, nor does it stop them from doing EVP sessions with dead people that probably aren't there, because nobody really died nearby. I mean, okay, it's not totally true. I mean, Clifton was kind of a popular site for a lot of Civil War battles, so maybe you'll find some old Civil War soldiers there, but not really anyone that was murdered by the Bunny Man, although locals will probably tell you otherwise. They'll always mention the couple who got killed there, or the kids who were murdered and strung up by their necks near the bridge, or this or that, but all of it comes down to just rumors and legends, and the details get so muddied that it's hard to say where the truth begins and where the lies end. Either way, the Bunny Man is a folklore that is steadily fading away from the public's collective consciousness, but the few who still know of the Bunny Man still visit now and again, and most popularly around Halloween. I'd still advise not going there just in case you get no-through roaded, but also because it looks really fucking scary at night. But hey, I can't tell you how to live your life. Just make sure to record it at least. Then maybe just then we'll have some proof of the legendary Bunny Man. And also your murder. which would be kind of cool.